With the technological explosion of the 2270s, Starfleet Command's newest battleship class would suddenly become obsolete practically overnight. And much to the chagrin of its construction teams, Starfleet Command would make the unbelievable decision to do something it swore not to do again. But what do we know about this heavily armed tactical class? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Proxima Class Refit, as first seen in the 2006 video game Star Trek Legacy, to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, this is the second part of my three-part series on this class. Also, the stats given in this video are based on the original source material rather than that of Star Trek Online's awesome redesign of this class. But, as always, because this is just a beta canon video, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The launch of the refit USS Enterprise was heralded as a massive achievement for Starfleet Command. But even as the Federation's public cheered on the revamped starship design into the history books, Starfleet Command was already deep in preparations for the consequences of this new era of technological development, mainly that all its current starship classes were now completely obsolete. Starfleet knew that riding the wave of the success that the Enterprise's launch had garnered would only go so far, and that, as a result of that launch, Starfleet Command would need to reinvent itself with starship designs and classes that could match the Enterprise's technological breakthroughs. Most new starship designs would be constructed from the ground up, forcing Starfleet Command to begin a new, massive construction program. You see, what the Federation's public didn't know or understand was that the Enterprise's redesign and refit had been a massive undertaking, conceived as more of a PR stunt by Starfleet Command to reaffirm faith in the organization's ability to protect the Federation's public after a chain of Constitution-class starships were destroyed over the past couple of years. A complete and utter refit like the Enterprise had undergone was not normally feasible for Starfleet to undertake. Put simply, to refit the Enterprise had required the starship to be completely gutted right down to its space frame, which was then reconstructed and completely rebuilt, a process which not only wasted Starfleet resources, but also doubled construction time for the ship. And so, quickly after its launch, Starfleet Command made the decision to simply construct new Constitution-class refit starships to replace the older original design models still in service. And this in itself would not be a problem, that is, except when it came to other classes, such as the Proxima class. Given its highly classified nature and recent construction, Starfleet Command had to decide what to do with the Proxima class. Several of the newly developed technologies had already been included within its design, with of course one big exception: the warp core. So Starfleet Command would order its starship design teams from Project Proxima to examine the feasibility of simply doing a minor refit to the Proxima class, to include the new warp core as well as the new nacelle design into this existing class. Unfortunately, as countless simulation studies prove, it wasn't going to be as easy as Starfleet hoped. One of the major requirements of the redesigned USS Enterprise had been specially placed hardpoints in the space frame's hull. These hardpoints had been designed to keep the starship from falling apart when traveling at faster impulse speeds as well as warp velocity, as the new warp field generated by the Constitution-class refit design caused certain hull stresses that the older Proxima-class design itself simply couldn't handle. And so, eventually, the teams of Project Proxima were forced to admit defeat, and informed Starfleet Command that a quick fix to the Proxima-class problem was not possible. But then, in a surprising turn of events, Starfleet Command would recall all Proxima-class starships back to its classified Project Proxima construction facility and order its design teams to solve the Proxima-class problem with a complete refit similar to that which the Enterprise had undergone. And with no other options, the teams would begin the massive and daunting process of refitting all 12 of the Proxima-class starships, a process which would take almost 4 years to complete. But in 2276, finally, the Proxima Class Refit would be born. Sitting at a length of 467 meters, the Proxima Class Refit would be designed to be operated by 420 officers and crew members, with additional space for 700 fighter pilots and military personnel. Interestingly, the Proxima Class Refit, sometimes simply referred to as the Proxima II class, would contain 2 aft-facing deflector dishes, whose purpose was twofold. During an emergency situation, the Proxima Class Refit was able to travel at warp velocity in reverse, negating the lag time for turning the starship around, buying this class precious seconds to escape during overwhelming combat. Also, during normal forward-facing starship flight, the aft deflector dishes would be used to strengthen the warp field of the class, increasing her velocity slightly. And as a result, the Proxima Class Refit would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 7.5, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 12.8 for 12-hour increments, all old warp scale of course. Tactically, the Proxima Class Refit would be even more well-armed than her predecessor had been. Retaining but upgrading her 24 dual-phaser emitter banks, the Proxima class's design team would add an additional 6 torpedo launching systems, and adding a weapons pod similar to that included within the Miranda class, bringing the class's grand total to 14 torpedo launching systems both forward and aft. Like the Constitution class refit, shielding for the Proxima class would be increased by almost 150% over her previous design, all thanks to the new technology that had been developed for the inclusion in the Enterprise's redesign. To increase the space available within this design, the Proxima class would remove the middle cargo pod included in the original design, replacing it with a box-like connecting structure. And the net connectors from the primary hull to the secondary hull would also be enlarged, removing what Starfleet felt could have been a design flaw in the original Proxima class. The Proxima class refit would also remove the through-style shuttle bays, replacing them with forward-facing only versions, still fully stocked with the latest auxiliary spacecraft that Starfleet Command had to offer. The reason for the removal of the through-style shuttle bays is unknown. The launch of the Proxima class refit would be kept as classified as her original design had been, with the class relegated to menial tasks within the core of the Federation. Of course, once peace talks began with the Klingon Empire in 2293, all Proxima class refit starships would be converted to transport designs, to aid in the effort to evacuate the Klingon homeworld. The Proxima class refit would remain in service until 2314, when the decision would finally be made to decommission the class in favor of new and upcoming starship designs. No one ever really knew the true capabilities of this class during its lifetime, with most that encountered this class simply considering it an odd starship design, and subsequently it appeared that the Proxima class refit was destined to become a forgotten page in starship historical texts. That is, until the 25th century, when a man out of his time would suggest to a new era of starship design engineers to include the Proxima class refit in its starship design revival program. And when we return to the final part of this 3-part series, we'll take a look at that amazing successor to this class. Hope to see you then. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Proxima class refit and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel take double or triple the time to refit a starship design to keep it relevant? Then consider becoming a channel member subscriber or a channel patron, both a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to both memberships is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, live long, and prosper.